It's a nice game, works hard, so I'm sure fans are accept the change. At the end of the day, the roster changes happen all the time. Yeah, I think like the main thing that people like don't understand too is that we legitimately had problems in moments where Yanya just didn't understand because his English is his second language. And I think that alone is enough that like is a reasonable thing for like an NA team to be like, yeah, we want someone who speaks English. He speaks English, you know what I mean? But like it just, because it's his second language, it takes him, you know, a couple more seconds to process things, and those seconds can be, you know, changing. And we even recommended him, we said we should go back and go play with Team Liquid, you know, because like they're a Spanish speaking team. I've been following for you for 3 years and you just banned me for giving me an opinion on Yanya. This is the last thing I'll say. To me, you're not a good IGL. Good luck. Well, I could ban you for literally just any reason. And one, I didn't even ban you. My mod did. And if you don't think I'm a good IGL, sure. I do not care. Like, I've IGL'd for 7 months? 7 months? Yeah. Made finals. Got 12. You know? Not bad. Plays better than teams who have been IGLing for years. Yeah, I'm not saying I'm a good IGL. Saying I'm a bad IGL is kind of like, bruh. If I was such a bad IGL, I feel like, you know, like, people who are like of guild's caliber wouldn't want to team with me. If Yanya is, you know, I think people always say like, they always bring up Yanya like as an IGL. If Yanya is such this great IGL that everyone's talking about, yet he wanted to play with me and let me IGL him, then what does that have to say? You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, how's a good IGL, yet he lets, you know, your IGL him. You know what I mean? Isn't that, like, I'm not saying that automatically makes, you know, the other person just a better IGL, but like, if a good IGL believes in a different person to IGL them, isn't that enough to be like, yeah, like, they're probably not as bad as, you know, people think? Dude, there's something that in the chat that's like something that I'll talk about. Like, even though I think you're a good IGL, I do think you being a frag on a team would go crazy, right? I have an actual response to that like makes somewhat sense. There's a thing like when I was competing on Moist, right? Yeah, when I was competing on Moist and after Germany LAN, legitimately Wxltzy just said to me, he was like, you know, like he wanted to IGL, like he didn't want to co-IGL anymore, right? Which I was co-IGLing him. He said like, yeah, I think I'm an IGL where like I just want to like IGL and just have my 2 teammates listen to me, and that's it, right? And he just wanted 2 fraggers, right? Or like not 2 fraggers, but he wanted an anchor player and like, you know, a because he was the fragger. He essentially wanted to have an anchor player and a support player, right? That's what he wanted. But he told me, he was like, yeah, like, why if I didn't want you to speak anymore and just wanted you to frag, why would I keep you and just not pick up another controller fragger? You know what I mean? Which is like a fair point, right? Why would he not just go pick up like a controller fragger player? You know what I mean? And controller players will like definitely frag better than an MK player. Obviously, you know, I'm good enough to be a good fragger, but what we start with like the dojo. I mean, that one I started as IGL, but eventually when we picked up Dezign and Enemy, that's when Dezign just took over the IGL role, and I just co-IGL'd him pretty much. We played the 2 LANs together. I decided I was like, okay, I'm gonna join Moist, and that's when like I feel like I learned a lot. You know, like I played with Wxltzy just like fucking sicko mode on IGLing, you know, just listening and watching like what he was doing, and then actually being a co-IGL in that aspect. You know, afterwards, like I said, when we played the 2 LANs, he eventually was like, if he didn't join Falcons, he said that he was going to drop me regardless. he said that you know, like he just wants a fragger, right? He didn't want a co-IGL. He just wanted to kind of be like a sweet dreams type of angle. And because of that, like, you know, if he's gonna get a fragger, why keep an MK fragger, not just get like someone like, you know, like Koi, Zainu, whatever, right? Like a controller player. And fair, honestly fair. This is also like during a time when 0.4 aim assist was still a thing. Like it wasn't 0.3. So like aim assist was broken at that time. And I mean, it's true. Like MK fragger just isn't really a thing. When you think of a fragger, you're trying to fucking pick up someone like, you know, Koiful, who's like, you know, controller freak. You know, you're not trying to be like, oh, yo, let me go pick up that MK fragger. And don't get me wrong, like there are MK fraggers, in like other regions like EU and APAC, right? Like I'm not gonna go change regions. I'm gonna play in NA. I mean, that's kind of why I took that route, to be an IGL. I mean, I even talked to Wxltzy about it. You know, I want to kind of pursue IGLing and stuff like that. And he's like, yeah, you should. You know, and I don't know what people expect. You know what I mean? Like people always be like, you're a bad IGL, yada yada. But like, I've IGL'd realistically 2 lands. One I got to finals and made 12th, and the other one I was like, you know, shy of making finals. And my teammate was literally hard griefing the fuck out of me. So like, you know, if I actually got the IGL that one, we probably would have qualified. But you also could say like maybe I wouldn't even have gotten as far. Sure, but I think this land is like enough proof that I could have qualified. You know what I mean? Because I did qual. And like that isn't like an IGL for fucking years. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna be like Hawkes. I'm not gonna be like Zero. You know what I mean? I don't know what people expect. I think it'd be a fucking problem if I started IGLing and I won the LAN, you know, off my first time IGLing. I think we have real big problems. You know what I mean? I make mistakes. I like people talk about like the few things. It's like my communication, my hesitation, and yeah, I mean I guess those are the 2 things, right? But it's like communication, 100%. I mean, that's just like a problem regardless. That like, I mean, I don't speak that well, so like sometimes it is kind of hard to communicate. But you know, I learned from when we had Winnie, because like I feel like Winnie is a really good coach. She's taught me a lot since the beginning of NRG to like now. I kind of articulate my strategies a lot better. Is it like fucking, you know, sweet dreams on fucking X Games mode? Probably not, but I mean, it's still improvement. And like hesitation, like of course I'm going to be hesitant because like one, I'm not experienced and I don't know, like I don't know if the call I'm making is right or wrong. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, that's kind of my stance about it. At the end of the day, like I mean, I believe I can be a good IGL, and I'm just trying my best to improve and learn. That's pretty much it.